Welcome to the podcast where we take a deep dive into the stories behind construction business leaders. We will share how they got started, how they found success, and the lessons learned along the way. I'm your host, Eric Fortenberry. Welcome to Builder Stories. Welcome, everyone. I'm here today with Josh Awend from American Drapery Systems, and they are a specialty contractor providing commercial window treatments such as drapery, blinds, as well as some other commercial products that he's going to tell us a little bit more about. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks for having us. Yeah, we're American Drapery Systems here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and big fans of what you've all done there at JobTread. So happy to be on the podcast today.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about the business? I know you were telling me earlier this is a third generation business that that's been in your family and that you've taken over. So yeah, why don't you give us some background here?
Sure thing. So my brother and I, we recently bought the business from our parents. Our father learned a lot of this business from his grandmother, who ran a small little upholstery shop in St. Louis. And then he worked his way through college, installing and selling draperies, and then went on to open up a workroom here in Minneapolis, and then sold product all over the Minneapolis area. And then Barrick and I grew up in the business and always, we're never going to be in it. We're never going to be in it. But then, as luck would have it, now we own it. So it's been a wild ride, a fun experience, but definitely something we grew up in, and we're really fortunate to have a great team around us now, from inside salespeople to our business development team to our operations team, and all the way down to the guys that make everything and install it. So we have a really, really great team running our business here with us in Minneapolis.
Awesome. So what's it like working with your family? My CFO is my dad, and I always get asked all the time, what's it like working with your dad and your family? I mean, so you got your brother, like what, how do you guys manage the family versus work relationship?
Right. I mean, it takes a really good partner wife to let you do that. I'm sure you know that as well. No, it's a crazy thing. Just you have a different relationship. It's nice because you have a built-in person who's got your back, hopefully, and has your best interest at heart. And it's really something that, it goes beyond just meeting someone you met in college and saying, hey, I got this business idea. There's 43 years of history there that we can rely on. And a lot of times Barrick and I look back at the business as almost like a sibling, because it was started the same year that he was born. So we are the health of the business is kind of like the health of a sibling, that you want to make sure that they're healthy and thriving and doing a great job, because it is something you grow up with, and it's something that you carry around with every day, that you have this amazing business that you can always call your own.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I know. My wife often feels like JobTread is my second wife, and she definitely feels like she's competing with work sometimes. I try to assure her, no, family's always first. If you ever need me, I'm there for you. But it is something where you spend a lot of your day with with the business and with the people that you're working with. So it certainly can feel like a family. And I embrace that here at JobTread too. I mean, I want it to be like a family environment, and so it helps that I've got my dad, to kind of sort of help instill that too. And I'm sure it's the same for you guys.
For sure. It was funny because when my wife and I first met, I asked her when we were dating, I was like, do you want to come to our family? Or I'm sorry, do you want to come to our company Christmas party, and you can come, we'll go out to have a big Christmas party? And she said, of course, yeah, well, let me know what you want to do. And I was like, yeah, we're just pretty much going out to dinner with my parents, because we're still kind of a smaller business then. So it's been around for a long time. It's ingrained in what we do, and we've had to set up some boundaries. I'm sure your wife can attest that, at a certain point, JobTread or American Drapery has to take a back burner, and let's just watch a football game together or have a Father's Day together without talking business. So
absolutely,
it's a fun time.
So how do you, so like what's your day-to-day look like? I mean, what are your responsibilities versus, your brothers? Like how did you guys kind of decide who's going to do what?
So I'm kind of the front of all the sales aspects of the business. So I'm in contact with, on our project side, with all the general contractors that we work with and medical facilities that we work with. I really talk to them and kind of keep up with the projects that they're working on, and helping to facilitate the resources that we have to make sure that they meet their deadlines and goals, and kind of cultivate those relationships. We also have a number of websites that we have, 3 of them that all deal with various types of cubicle products or blackout curtains, and then the hardware that is used for both of those. So today, our day-to-day, I work with our business development team and inside sales teams to make sure that, you know, we're reaching our goals and we're hitting our growth platforms and everything like that, to make sure that that business is growing and you know, same type of customer service angles on those. So that's kind of the day-to-day. And then Barrick runs all the operations side, making sure that the bank has enough money for me to go spend on customers and like that. So it's a pretty, we decided long ago, it was a pretty good, clear division of, you're really good at that, I'm really good at this, and let's just stay out of each other's way. And it's been pretty productive for this far.
Yeah, that's great to have, you know, kind of both sides of the house covered. I know a lot of times many business owners feel like they're, you know, kind of getting, you know, run ragged, having to, you know, both sell the job and then, you know, oversee the production side, making sure it's all getting done. And, you know, when you're trying to wear both hats, it can be challenging to keep focusing on sales because you're always getting pulled, you know, aside onto the operation side. So, you know, having someone, and I'm a huge believer in having someone 100% focused on sales is a great way to make sure that you keep that pipeline filled, you know, keep those jobs coming in.
We learned actually, getting back to that family business idea, is that for a long time, Sal, our dad, it was that reverse where he ran all the sales and had a really big workroom behind him and a really big production staff behind him. And eventually that just is completely out of skew. It should be the other way. You should have a sales organization out there bringing in everything in a smaller, leaner production room behind you. That's something that we found. Maybe it's just economics 101, but we came upon that now, where if we have a really good sales team that can fill all the pipelines and utilize amazing resources like JobTread, then it just makes it just clearly understood, you know, what everybody's role in the company and in everything is.
Sure. So, you know, before JobTread, I ran a commercial general contracting company. And, you know, I think one of the biggest differences I've seen with, you know, selling, you know, commercial versus residential is that, you know, you do have a lot of repeat customers. And so like you can kind of keep, you know, doing business for the same customer, which, you know, at times can make it a lot easier to kind of keep the sales coming in. But at the same time, you know, you got a lot more eggs in that basket. Is that same thing for you guys? Are you seeing a lot of kind of repeat work?
Definitely. So we work a lot with the main, you know, mainstay general contractors here in Minneapolis. But it is that thing where you're always going to meet yourself on the other side with someone else. And I don't know if any of your other customers are finding this, but the general contracting world here, at least here in the Midwest, everyone's moving around so much. So you may work with someone today at this general contractor, but then all of a sudden they're over here at another one requesting pricing. And then that person over there is asking for it. Just, you see a lot of the same faces. Once you get into that commercial aspect, the number of people in that industry is shrinking a little bit, but the volume isn't really dipping as much as the people leaving the trades. And I mean, our biggest thing, I'm sure a lot of your customers as well, is how do we replenish the pipeline for labor? Because that's going to be that's a whole nother podcast we can get into on that. But no, yeah, we definitely with Joe, I like working with budgets, and I like being told to do things. And that's really where it comes down to with the commercial side of things, is that the design firms and the architectural design community does a great job just saying, this is exactly what we want for the customer. We know exactly what we need to price. We get that pricing to the general contractor. They tell us the schedules, and then we come back around and pop it up and get off to the next one and see them down the line.
Yeah. So what does your average job look like? I mean, from, you know, both from a sales perspective, as well as, you know, how long does it take to typically, you know, install these systems?
So for our projects, it could be anywhere from we're 10 minutes late already and someone's screaming hair on fire, all the way to, I mean, we have a project going in the Dakotas right now that our first install date is January of 24. So it's a typical general contractor cycle where request for bid comes out, and then our estimating team gets in there, loads it into JobTread. We all, you know, rally around the budget features and then send out the pricing to the customer, and then we wait to hear back that the contract has been awarded, and then we start getting after all the submittals and all the contracts are signed, we then send out our field team, and they get a good idea as to what we need and confirm all the details with the site staff, and then order it up and send the installers back in. And 60 to 90 to 120 days later, you get paid and start the process again. Otherwise, just general sales cycle of long time repeat customer has a cubicle curtain go down in one of the exam rooms at a medical facility. They call up, we go out, measure it, price it, PO, same thing, send the install team back out, and away we go. So we like to thrive on that level of volume of getting as many. We need a number. We have to have a number of those in the pipeline to keep rolling at all times, just to keep our volume up.
So what is how many jobs a month would you say you guys you're executing?
I think right now in the measure pipeline for our measure field staff, we kind of keep around 30 to 40 projects kind of in that queue at all time. We have 3 different installation teams that we have running on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So, I mean, we're one of a handful of commercial contractors here in the Twin Cities area and like kind of upper Midwest that's doing a lot of the work here. So we're pretty fortunate to have a great group of general contractors that we work with, and just the team all together. We're pretty glad of the part of the team that we put together.
Yeah, that's great. So all of your installers, they're full-time employees, or do you sub anything out?
All of our installers are actually subs. So
okay, they're subs.
We've found that it's just easier because if there is a lull, we just don't have like a broom to push around the shop. So it's easier for them because they can do residential work, they can pick up stuff on their own, or everyone kind of utilizes the same labor pool. As we grow, we know that it's probably an area that we should probably be hiring outright for. But as of right now, it's just been easier for everybody to have their own books, and it keeps the relationship really clean and simple, and we've really enjoyed that.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. I
Yeah.
definitely think using subcontractors, in my opinion, is a really great way to go. Just again, when they don't work out too, you're able to kind of make changes when need be a little bit easier than if you've invested a bunch of time and you got people on on payroll. And
one of the big things that when Barrick and I kind of started taking this thing over is we got into this idea of like our core values and mission statement. And for a long time, everyone just kind of laughs at that and scoffs at that. But we really got to the point with it where it drives the business every day. And we know from the first interaction with anybody if we are going to do well together. And it's been a really great way to say, like, we sat down with all of our values, and we sat down with all the people we like working with and all the people we don't like working with. And we clearly saw that everyone that we work well together is value aligned, and everyone that doesn't work well together is not value aligned. So we jettisoned that whole thing to the point of, I don't even keep, patting you guys on the back, but we were working with a different type of software than JobTread, and just nothing was working. We couldn't understand, like, why can't we just get the systems to work? And then all of a sudden, Megan in our office found JobTread, and we're like, the software is value aligned. Bobby was great to work with. The team that got us on board has been amazing. Like, everyone's value aligned, data driven, and sense of urgency, like all the different things that we value. And it's interesting. You take that and go down to even a software can be value aligned with your company. And it's just really been an eye-opening experience for us on how to run a business.
And that's awesome. Yeah, we before the call kind of talked a little bit about how important, especially with high volume, processes and technology has been for you guys. I mean, maybe tell us a little bit about that journey and how you how you came about, and what's made the biggest impact for your business.
Sure. So a long time ago, we realized that in this day and age, you have to have software. You have to have some type of app. You have to have something that keeps everybody on the same page. And with all of our online products, we went out and spent the money and invested, good dollars in these online softwares that kind of take the magic and the artistry out of the drapery business, because there is some level of that. Just no one knows how to write a drapery workroom order anymore. So that's just something that we have to know how to do. So we took and made this software that we hired a sales team that can just push a couple buttons and make that software run. And that we're sending out orders that are custom made orders that the system quotes itself. It does everything. It's a kind of an autonomous system that can be run from your phone, can be run from a tablet, it can be run from a computer. So when we started hiring and creating a team around the projects of our business, we really needed something where we use Evernote for our note taking and site gathering information. And then we had the QuickBooks side of things. And we had all these different systems that were all just kind of away, that everybody in the team were siloed off in all the systems. So we said, no, we all need to be under one umbrella. We all need to be in one pool. We need a simple, easy way to get everything to both, from estimating to invoicing with all of our team, as well as the customer's needs. Because that's the biggest thing nowadays with the lead times, the shortages, or the quicker, or the schedules for the projects. The customer needs to be informed even more than our team. We just have to have everybody on the same page. So that's what we really utilize all of our systems to be, kind of like that Amazon feel of, your order shipped, track it here. So that way we don't have to be fielding calls. They can just go to the portal and we give them all the information through the portal, and then they're happy. They don't need to worry about where things are at. They can see the progress of the job on our end, because we see the benefit of having that much transparency to the projects.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did you go about, kind of getting your team to adopt it? I mean, was that something that, was readily accepted? They're excited to do that, or was there a little bit of kind of having to force it on them? I mean, what's your advice there?
No, I mean, you got to have the champion in your corner, in your office, someone, and it can't be any, I'm sure you can attest to this, it can't be any founder, owner like that. If you got to let someone take their brain and put their brain on it. And that's really what, and Megan in our office did. She just took the whole system and said, listen, everybody, if I'm going to be in charge of this, we all have to be under these rules. So she set up the entire software in such a way that, like, whatever's going to make it easiest for her to manage the information coming in and out. And she can understand that, how it goes from, an estimate to how do we get that information to the field team? What does the field team mean? And you need that person to kind of ask every step along the way, even into the invoicing, into the installer crews, into the customers, to really ask those questions of everybody involved, and then let them create the system around all that feedback, knowing ultimately, anything can change at any time, because people will be coming in and out and you're adding to your team. But really, it has to be that everybody involved has to get buy-in to the team, but then it's one person's job to create the structure, and everybody can play within it. And that's been a huge help. So whenever we have problems or questions, we kind of come to her and say, hey, how do we fix this? And either she fixes it right on the spot, or Bobby gets a phone call and he jumps on a Zoom call, and away we go. So it's just been a really, I would say the best advice would ever be is, like, let one person run it and give them feedback, but then at the end of the day, let them create a vision for it and manage it. Yeah,
100% agree. I mean, that's it's kind of I think you always got to have a champion, and whoever it may be. I mean, again, smaller businesses might not have the luxury of having, someone who can, be that champion. So it may have to be the owner in those cases, but, as you get bigger, definitely being able to delegate out the responsibilities, but having that point person on your team who can be a champion, who can, always make sure that the people on your team know how to use it, they're trained, but then also, if questions come up or issues, they know how to either figure it out themselves or can escalate it and kind of get the answers quickly. It's game changer, when implementing software, for sure.
100%.
So how do you guys, how do you measure success? Like, do you guys have, KPIs that you're looking at? Like, what, at the end of the day, end of the month, end of the quarter, year, like, how do you decide, like, did we hit our goals? Are we successful? Like, what's your definition of success, and how do you guys track that?
I was thinking about that when we first kind of started meeting, and really, as an owner, and from what Barrick and I really try to do, it's this idea of, like, how do we get the team together to be successful? Because what we like to also say a lot of times is, how do we do the same amount of work as we did last year in a more streamlined and simple way? And that, to us, would be a successful year. I mean, there are KPIs. We're trying to hit sales numbers. We're trying to do, get creative and do whatever we can to get those, and make sure we don't have a huge growth plan for our projects, because we feel like the market is kind of well situated. We have really great competitors we work with that we're very friendly with. And it's just kind of like everyone has enough work to go around. So we're not going to get out there and have some aggressive strategy where we're going to, knock off number 2 and 3. We're happy with where we are with products and projects. Anything, our growth is going to be on our product side. So that's why the business development team and the sales team there is going to really have to crank up the KPIs on that. But at the end of the day is how do we do everything we do across the board in a more streamlined, simple, data-driven way that everybody can get the same amount of work done. It's easier, faster, and the customer's happy. That's where we're really judging success from a business standpoint.
Yep, makes total sense. So again, kind of thinking back to, some of the earlier days. I mean, again, we got a lot of builders on here who are, much earlier on, kind of trying to get going. Would love to, to reach that scale that you're at. I mean, are there any like kind of key, lessons or things that, you've learned along the way, looking back in hindsight that, that you think were, really kind of pivotal points that, could make a huge impact, things that, you wish you knew, when you started versus, what you know now? I mean, any lessons or thoughts you might want to share there?
I would say embrace the technology would probably be one of the biggest. I know that when we first started using iPads, like, don't let the gray hair fool you. I'm not that old, but this is just, running a business. You'll be there soon enough, Eric. I'm sure. I can see a little
gray hairs in the beard here.
It's coming.
Yeah.
But no, I got into the construction industry right as it was turning to the Procores, turning to the online platforms, the I Foots, and all these things were starting to come online. I remember going and doing takeoffs in plan rooms at general contractors' offices and making photocopies and bringing them back to the office and working on them. So the one thing I knew is that as soon as you don't use it, it's obsolete, and you have to figure out a way to ingrain it into what you do. Otherwise, you're just relying on old systems that aren't going to be around, frankly. And who knows how many with AI and with that whole side of things. Again, different podcast. But as soon as you leave that iPad in the car or the technology in the car and say, I'll just use it on a piece of paper and not worry about it, that's the opposite of where we all should be going from a just general business standpoint. You got to utilize the tools that are at hand and really embrace them and really that extra 5 minutes you do entering everything in on your iPad in the field or tablet. Yeah, it takes away 5 minutes to get off to the next call, but it also it takes an hour away from at night when you just want to sit down and watch, the Kirk Cousins on the quarterback show. I mean, it's that kind of thing where you got to utilize those. And then it also sets your team up, whoever it is, whether if you are a small business, if you have to order it later, if you have it entered in correctly right then and there, it makes the ordering process and you can email it off. I mean, you have to just really embrace the technology would be how I would give any kind of advice to to people using the software and kind of coming up in the trades.
Couldn't agree more. It's something that, a lot of times I see so many businesses that, they're struggling to scale, but then they're also very hesitant to, want to adopt technology and, kind of have this, a lot of times it can be such a mindset that like, oh, I'm not good at, at technology, or I can't use software. And it's like, if you want to keep growing, if you want to scale your business, like, quit doing the same things over and over that, are just super inefficient. It's so important this day and age to, to basically implement, things that can make you more efficient, can help you grow the business, make you more profitable. And, we see it time and time again, people come in, apprehensive about it, but then, after, a couple of weeks of going through a little bit of training and kind of taking the time to stop and, learn how they can implement it. Like you just see the light bulb moment go off where it's just like, oh my gosh, why have I not been doing this for the last several years? Like, this is so much easier. This is so much faster. Like it can save you so much time and headache later to take that time. And sometimes it does take a little bit longer to, to get training, to learn things, to get it implemented. But man, a little bit of time up front can save you hours and hours down the road. So,
I mean, we're to the point where we're geeking out because we're just at the point that we want to start doing the zaps. And Barrick has come into my office several times because he's going to have to implement it. And he's come into my office several times and been like, you have to stop getting that excited about, wait, so if I move if the Procore comes in, I can have a task and it's like, no, you have to stop, you rein it all in, just slow down we'll get to it, but it's that same idea. It's like once you get that light bulb moment goes off, and you're like, wait a second, I can do something where I click one button and a job is created, a task is made, this is then something sent to them, everybody this, and all I had to do is push one button. Well, it's like, hey, that saves me 2 hours of my day every day.
Yeah.
Well, and I can now go make sales. I can now sit down and have a strategy meeting with finance. It's like, why wouldn't you want to embrace that technology and get excited about it? So yeah, I totally 100% agree.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the automations too. I mean, Zapier is pretty awesome kind of middleware software there to be able to automate things, and you know, it's super powerful once you get into it. Once you realize that, you know, you can drag and drop and kind of make things, you know, these easy processes, you know, just can save so many hours, and just really, you know, and eliminates a lot of, you know, potential, you know, data entry errors, or, you know, drop balls, things like that. Setting up those processes can be huge. So yeah, it's awesome. I hear you guys are power users from a Zapier standpoint. So it's pretty cool to hear the kind of the real impact that it's making for you.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, look, hey, I appreciate you taking time with us today, Josh, to, you know, kind of share a little bit more about, you know, what you guys are doing and some of those, you know, those challenges you've overcome and how you've built out this business. Sounds like you guys are doing a lot of really great, you know, great things for your customers. You're growing, and yeah, appreciate you sharing your insight here today.
Hey man, you guys have built a heck of a product there, Eric. We're growing. We got our swag ready to go. So we're excited to kind of, you know, rep the brand. And if any customers out there need any kind of help with anything, we'll be happy to walk you through anything. We saw on your videos of your new offices. If you ever need blinds, let us know. We'll be happy to come down to Texas and show you how we enter it through the JobTread system. But you guys made a great product. Thank you very much to you and your whole team. And it's been a lot of fun working with you. And thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Yeah. And tell you what, if you come to JobTread Connect in January, we'll let you bid on our blinds, because we definitely need some better blinds in the office. That's for sure.
Let's go. Set it up. We'll be there for sure.
All right. Thanks, Josh. It's good talking to you. All right. See you.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Builder Stories. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and gained valuable insights that can help you in your journey along the way. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave us a review. And as always, if you or someone you know has a story to share, please contact us at builderstories.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Eric Fortenberry, and remember, every builder has a unique story. Keep building yours.